Hi, I'm Jez from Nirvana UK. We've been asked quite a lot recently to do an up-to-date video about our gear and all the different equipment we use and the reasons why we use it. So we've come down to the Horn in St Albans where we're playing tonight. We've brought all our stuff down, brought all my guitars, drums, basses, the lot. So we're going to go through all the gear individually, talk about it, and what's individual about it and why we use it. So we'll try and get everything right. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so we're going to go through my guitars now. Individually, you can see I've got pretty much all of them here today, ranging from the stuff that Kurt used in early 91, 1990, all the way through to the in utero tour. So we'll start with the Jag then. So this is actually a custom Jaguar. Fender released a reproduction of Kurt's Jag, which wasn't entirely right. The bridge was wrong, the colour of the body was wrong, the scratch plate colour was wrong. So what I did is I got a body from the Japanese reproduction of it, which is a far better colour. It's a much better yellow, as you can see there. I had a custom pickguard made by Spitfire Tour in America. I had it shipped over, so that's one of a kind. The neck is off the Fender reproduction, because obviously with the binding on it, it's really difficult to get hold of those necks. DiMarzio Super Distortion in the bridge and DiMarzio PAF at the neck. It's got a Nashville Gotch bridge in it, black, which is the same colour as Kurt's. And obviously the tape with the switches taped up and everything like he had, just for that authenticity. So moving over to the right hand side, this is the Tune-o-matic Strat. This was used quite heavily by Kurt, sort of the start of the Nevermind sort of tour. What's individual about this guitar is obviously the Tune-o-matic bridge it's got on the bridge, should I say. It's got a Seymour Duncan JB at the bridge, and the other two pickups are standard factory pickups. That's a Mexican Stratocaster which I've customised myself and relics with all the different nicks and bumps on it and stuff. Obviously the famous Vandalism Strat. So again, started life as a normal Stratocaster with just a single core at the bridge. Again, Seymour Duncan bridge pickup in there now, humbucker. And it's got a Fernandez guitar neck on it like Kurt had at the Paramount show. Again, I've done it all myself and sort of relicked it myself, just looking at pictures and stuff online of Kurt's guitars. So this one again, this is pretty special. This is that's a 1969 competition Mustang, which is obviously famous because Kurt used the same guitar in Smells Like Teen Spirit video. It's got a hot rail now in the bridge. Still got the standard bridge in it, the factory bridge. I haven't upgraded that, so I'm pretty happy with that one, to be honest. Well, what's unique about this guitar is obviously the matching headstock, which is really hard to find now. These guitars in this sort of half decent condition. Okay, so moving on to the in utero sort of period. So obviously this guitar here is the Fiesta Red Mustang that Fender reproduced. As you probably know, if you're geeky like myself, this guitar came with a white Perloid pickguard and a Seymour Duncan JB in the bridge. Although Kurt he did enjoy playing the guitar, I think he's seen to be playing it quite a lot on the Nitro tour. I wanted to change it back to the Roseland Ballroom look. So I got a red pickguard, and I've dropped in the bridge there. I've dropped the JB Junior, which is the same as what Kurt had at the Roseland gig. It's the one where he wore the stripy sweater, where they featured first time they played in Utro live, I think. So moving on to another one of my favourite guitars here. That's the Sonic Blue Fender Mustang. That's pretty much the same as it came from Fender when I bought it, other than the fact that I've dropped a white JB in the bridge and changed the pickup selectors to white ones. So that's kind of the same as the guitar that I used on the Live and Loud performance. These guitars we tend to only use when we're doing that kind of intro period sort of show. And obviously the last guitar that I've brought with me today is the Jag stang, which was designed by Kurt himself. That's all factory as far as I'm aware. I don't really play it that much. I've got to be honest, it's not one of the best guitars in my collection, but you know, got to have one, I suppose. So that's my guitars really. I don't intend on buying any more. I think I've got enough. Oh, I have got a Univox guitar, which is currently in for repair because I keep throwing it around and damaging it. So that's not here today, but it's just like a Univox Sunburst. It's actually a left-handed guitar, and I flipped it right, so it kind of looks right when I'm playing it. So I'm not left-handed, unfortunately. So anyway, that's my guitars. How much more I can say about that really? So I'm going to talk about effects now. This is my chain, it's dead basic. Kurt only used a maximum of sort of 4 pedals during the Neutro tour. He only actually used 2 during the Nevermind tour. That was the DS2 and the small clone. So we'll go right to left. So vintage DS2. Okay, it's obviously it's set to the non-turbo setting. Volume's all the way over. The tone's at about sort of 10, 11 o'clock with this distortion all the way up. I favour that pedal over the next one really, which is the Sans Amp. Now, Kurt used the Sans Amp heavily during the Neutro tour. This isn't a Sans Amp classic, that was the reproduction, this is an original Sans Amp. Works well, it's a good sounding pedal, but it seems to only sound correct when we're doing the Neutro sort of tour gigs, you know, when I'm playing to the Mustangs with the JBs and the bridge. It sounds really muddy when I'm using the Jaguar, so that's why I tend to favour the DS2 over that when we're doing sort of Nevermind shows. Moving on, this is a Polychorus, again vintage pedal. I've got a spare one of these as well because they're so hard to get hold of now. The trouble is they're so unreliable, so I have to have a spare just in case that one breaks down. The effects Kurt got used from this pedal really were for Radio Friendly Unit Shifter, Morse Vagina, Scentless Apprentice, and the Heart-Shaped Box Solo. And then finally I've got the old small clone here, which is used heavily on Nevermind. For obviously songs like Come As You Are, In Bloom, Drain You. So that's my effects really. And we'll do some sound samples with them so you can hear what they actually sound like. I've also got this microphone, which is a Crown CM310A, which Kurt used, I think he used it in Argentina. It's the first time I've seen him use that, and obviously throughout the whole of the Neutro tour. So that's a condensing mic, which obviously is very directional, which is difficult to use sometimes in the smaller venues that we play. So moving on to amplification. So obviously the majority of Kurt's sound came from his amplifier. So this is a Mesa Boogie Studio 2.2 amplifier, powered with a Krist 4801 power amp there. Obviously Kurt had 2 power amps for the majority of the time, which he used whilst he was touring. During the Nevermind era he used the Crown Powerbase 2 heavily on that tour, but he tended to find that he kept blowing them up apparently, so that's why he shifted to the Krist power amplifier, because it was more reliable, and to be honest it's easier to control as well because the volume switches are on the front. With the Crown there's nothing on the front, it's all done from the back, so it must have been a real pain in the neck to sort of adjust the sound and stuff like that. So these a lot of people ask me about the settings for this amplifier, you know, what settings do you have it on? To be honest, there's no strict hard and fast rule, because again it's venue dependent. It depends on the size of the venue and the reverberation you get from the venue itself. I've adjusted this about 5 times today already, but majority of the time middles are all the way over. Quite a bit of bass, a lot of treble. Volumes at 7 with the master at about 5, just to give it that crunch that Kurt had. And obviously the equaliser is obviously changeable, and I change it pretty much every gig. So speaker cabinet, obviously it's a Marshall 4x12. It's got 2 greenbacks in it and 2 vintage 30s as well, which is what, you know, from research that we've done, is what Kurt used on the Neutro tour to get his unique sound. So that's that. just going to run through a bit of the song now. I'll go through each pedal and just do a little bit so you can hear the amp running actually clean and distorted. So you can see the difference there between the two pedals. Well, hear the difference, should I say. That's a lot brighter than the Sans amp when it's running through this guitar in particular. So I'll just go into the polychorus now and probably do the hard shed box solo that he used to do with the effect that he used to have on sort of live, so you can hear that. Okay, so I've changed the polychorus now to the radio-friendly unit shifter sort of opening, so you can get to hear that. So this is the Santa's Apprentice sound.
Yeah.
And small clone now, just for a little bit of come as you are. So that's my effects, my rig, my favourite guitar, the Jag. That's it.
Hi, I'm going to go through the basses that we've got for the band. So first one here is the Gibson Ripper, which Krist used heavily during Nevermind and in Utero. That's a very, very light bass. This one here is my favourite, and it's the Gibson RD. We tried really hard to get an original one, but they're just so rare. But we did manage to find the Krist Novoselic Signature, and again this was used heavily during Nevermind and in Utero, and this is my favourite one to play, even though it is really, really heavy. Next one here is the Black Eagle. Ibanez Black Eagle. I've still got the faceplate on here, but Chris took his off because it was damaged. He also replaced the neck, but this is as it would have been when he bought it, and it's still got the cutout here on the neck. This is another really, really light bass. Chris used this really early on. There's pictures of him playing house parties with this bass and used it all throughout. And when this is off and he's got the neck replaced, that's the one that he used on Live and Loud. then lastly, with the basses, we've got the Gibson Thunderbird, which I don't use very often. It's the first one, it's the first bass that we bought when we started the band. So this one's about 6-7 years old. And this was used quite heavily early on as well, and most famously played when they were doing the Reading '92 festival. Okay, so amplification, we've got the Ampeg SVT 400T, which is what Krist used all throughout the Nevermind era. There's a picture of him playing it in the record store when they were releasing Nevermind. And we've had this for about 3 years now, and it's really, really good amp. The settings, like Jez was saying about his guitar amp, they change all the time. But these are the settings of the graphic EQ that Krist used, that you can see in pictures, and kind of keep it like that. But most of the EQ comes from the main 4 here, which I changed from gig to gig. And the gain is all the way up because Krist had like a really biting bass. So that's an original, like vintage amp. And then in terms of the actual speakers themselves, these are the Mesa Boogie Road Ready cabs, which you can see, and he used all throughout Nevermind as well. And it is a beast, and it is really heavy. So think of us when we're playing gigs and there's a lot of stairs that you have to climb to get up there. We have to carry all this up. Okay, lastly, I'm going to take you through my vast array of pedals. So Krist used just one, and that is the Proco Rat distortion. Okay, so I'm just going to take you through the sound of one of the basses. There's not a massive difference between the basses when it's put through this amp. So I'll just show you what the bass sounds like on its own, and then I'll play the Rat pedal, and then you can hear the differences. Play a bit of the Rat now, so this is the breed throughout, I suppose.
Hi, I'm John, aka Fake Dave. I'm going to take you through the kit that we use here in Nirvana UK. So we've got the Tama Grandstar 2 from the 80s, which Dave Grohl used throughout his entire Nirvana career pretty much. We've got the Tama Superstar snare. It's 14 inches by 8 inches deep. We've got the 15-inch rack tom by 15, 18-inch floor tom and 22-inch kick. So this is our hi-hat stand. It's a custom-made stand and it's very, very large because we need that for Dave Grohl's style. And the cymbal's very high up. And this is the 14-inch A custom Zildjian hat. Then we have the 18-inch crash, 20-inch crash, and the 24-inch sweet ride on Tama Titan stands. Right, here we go, we're going to bash them.
So that was a whistle-stop tour of our gear, all the equipment we use and why we use it. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. I hope it's been insightful. I hope it's answered a few questions. We put a lot of work into this band over the 6 years we've been doing it. It took us a long time to get all the gear, but I think that commitment is like second to none. Sets us apart really from the other tribute bands that are out there, just playing through Marshall amps, where using normal Stratocasters and stuff like that. So follow us on Facebook, Instagram, all the normal sites like that, and then hopefully we'll see you at a gig one day. So thanks. If you want to disappear now, I need to.